Correct. Janet's class, you haven't started Chapter 7, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. So, I believe, though, that we can make this work. I know we can. So, we'll just kind of jump in and do a small little review before we get going here. And what I have here is some of the PowerPoint slides. I don't typically go over them word by word, so we'll just kind of do what we can here and make some examples work for everyone. So also realize I am recording this, so I can send that out. Eric was really cool and helped me get my own YouTube channel. Right here it is. I already got 2 videos. I'm so excited. Awesome. I even changed my border, so I feel like a young kid right now. I'm just like you guys, so young, smart. All right, so, but I'll send out a YouTube link with my recording of today's class as well. The reason I'm doing that is because Blackboard, it's really been giving me hassles. The videos are terrible. They don't play very well. So, anyway, what we learned on Tuesday, or last Thursday, today's Tuesday, is how to compute break-even point. Break-even point means at what point of sales is our profit at 0. That's what break-even means. We computed it as a in units, and that's what this formula is. What's on top? Fixed cost. What's on the bottom? The contribution margin per unit. And we also learned last Thursday that we can modify this formula and say, what is my break-even point in sales dollars? The top doesn't change, right, guys? It's still fixed cost in dollars over, what's the bottom number, though? Contribution margin what? Ratio. Excellent. And by ratio we mean percent. And how do we get that percent? What do we divide to get it? How do we get that ratio? Guess we need to know that. Brianna?
Contribution margin divided by the selling price.
Yep, selling price, or if we know the total sales, the total sale dollar amount. Exactly, very good. That's our bottom number. So these we learned last Thursday. Those are the 2 that are required for the exam. And really, this is a goal of many companies to figure out what is their break-even point. Everyone from Janet's class, you'll have to just send me a chat. I can hear you when you buzz in with a chat question. So please try to use that. I don't know how familiar you are with Collaborate. Or, like I said, turn your mic on and ask the question. So here we go. Oh yeah, I did forget that you did have a video too. This is just some review again. The opposite, or the complement of the contribution margin ratio, is the variable cost ratio. And that's just, again, the variable cost over our selling price or sales in dollars. Here's our margin ratio. And I'm just kind of going through this point. And we've covered this already. Our third example or computation was this target income, and it's added to our fixed cost, and we divide by either, again, our margin per unit, if we want to know the number of units, or our contribution margin as a percentage if we want the sales answer in dollars. The break-even point in sales dollars, we got to use the margin percent. So example 5 in the book, this was on page 3. This is where I need my glasses. Page 343. Oh, I have it already, sorry. Is where that discussion is talked about. We ended last week, Thursday, on this change or impact of a change in revenue on our profit. And to do that computation, we do need our margin ratio. So here it is. As an example, we had a percentage of margin, 0.1888. We take that times our change in sales. Our sales went up 100,000 in dollars. That will impact our profits by making them go up by $18,888. So this is on the test. If I could have you look at our problem. We talked about this on Thursday. To answer question 2 and to answer question 3, we need to use that margin percent. That margin percent can be derived from the actual problem itself. There is a contribution margin statement. Please use that to answer questions 2 and 3. Now, be aware that we want their answer in whole dollars. They don't want cents. Also be aware that you do not create your own income statement. Use this margin ratio to figure those 2 questions out. Let me know if you have any questions on that. Has anybody completed it yet? Or done some of it? Okay, excellent. Let me know if you do have any questions on that. On page 347, 348, 349 then, we then jump into using graphs to explain how these costs relate to sales, relate to profits. And it's very simplistic. It's not anything fancy. If you look on this, at this one, this is total revenue, also known as total sales, is this line. And then our total cost is the other line, which is the sum of our fixed cost plus variable cost, right? And at this point, it's all variable at the rate of $5 per unit. And at 200 units is my break even. My break even point is at $2. I do have fixed expenses of 100. So I'm not sure what we sell these for. What are we selling these for? $10 a unit. So at $10 a unit, we sell 200 units. That's $2,000 of revenue. Our fixed cost stays at 100, but then I'm going to add again, break-even point. Am I multiplying by 20 units? Yeah. Yes. Otherwise my math was not coming out. 20 units, $200. 20 units times 5 is 100. So my total cost is 200. So at 20 units, my cost equals my revenue. So that's the definition of break even. Also on the next page, they do a series of other graphs. And what I'm going to do now is do this. On the test, you'll be asked some questions, analysis questions about break-even. If my variable cost per unit increases, what happens to my break-even? If my variable cost per unit goes up, what happens to my break-even? Does it go up or down? Pardon?
Does it go up?
Up, right? My break-even amount has to go up. And the reason it has to go up, very good, Michaela, thank you. The reason it goes up is that I have less margin, right? So I need more units to make up for that. What if my fixed cost goes up? What does that do to my break-even if my fixed cost goes up? It's got to go up, right? My break-even units have to go up. What if my selling price goes up? What does that do to my break-even point? My selling price goes up. Goes down, right? Because I'm making more margin for every unit I sold. So companies will do this analysis in preparation of planning, controlling cost. Maybe they're coming up against more competition, so they have to do something with either their cost or their selling price. So be ready for, these are great multiple choice type questions that could be asked to, again, assess whether you understand the cost, selling price, break-even relationship. And that's kind of what these graphs are showing here on page 349. All right. Any other thoughts on this, guys? We okay out there? Any questions? All right. Thank you, guys. Just pop in if you think you need any other questions asked. Let's try an example. Exercise 39. Always good to do a little practice. On page 378 of our textbook. Werner Company makes baking pans. The selling price is $2.75. $2.75. That's a cheap frying pan, guys. Wow. The variable costs are shown as a per unit number. Their fixed cost is in total, both manufacturing and administration. Compare the number of pans, compute the number of pans that Werner must sell to break even. Before I do that though, before we ask or answer question 1 here, break-even point, I want to go to question 2 here because I want to discuss the difference between variable cost and variable manufacturing cost. Variable costs mean all costs, both manufacturing and overhead. You might be asked that on one of your problems or in CNOW or maybe on a test. And when we're looking at variable, which 3 are we looking at for manufacturing? Variable manufacturing, which 3?
Direct labor.
Direct labor is 1.
Material.
Materials 2. What's the 3rd? Pardon? Overhead, yep. VOH for the manufacturing section. So those are the 3 that they're looking for in question 2 here. So if I'm looking at that, I'm looking at the 37 cents, the 63, and the 53. That's $1.53, correct? Open. And to get my total cost, I'm going to take that $1.53 plus just the 12 cents, right? Or $1.65. Now we're going to use the total, right, for our variable cost to do our analysis. Can someone tell me what the variable cost ratio is here? What's the variable cost ratio here? It's not asked in the question. But since we have the numbers, we're set to go here. How do I compute it?
Would it be the 12 over the 165?
Which one over what?
Would it be the 12 over the 165, or am I looking
12.
at the point, the 12 cents?
Oh, no,
Okay.
no, it won't be, no. But
$1.65 divided by 275.
$1.65 divided by the
275.
275 is exactly right. Very good. Brianna, what is that amount you have in calculation?
0.6.
0.6. And how do I convert a decimal to a percent? Times by 100 or what?
Move the decimal point.
Move the decimal place 2 places. So as a percent, this is 60%. If I know my variable cost is 60%, what's my margin percent then?
40.
40 it has to be, right? So if this is 60, my contribution margin percent has to be 40%, can be no other percent. It's the complement, right, of our variable cost ratio, which is 60 in this example. So if I see this 40%, how much money do I make on every sale dollar? So I've got $1 here of sales. How much am I making on that dollar? 40 cents. So based on the 40%, on every sale dollar, I'm making 40 cents of whatever I'm selling, right? So if I have a product that's worth 10 or selling for $10, I'm making $4, right, on that product. So try to use the lingo. A lot of the lingo here, the computations are not difficult. It's understanding the terminology and how things work. So, I'm looking for a break-even point in pans, right? So I'm going to take my fixed cost, divide it by my contribution margin per unit in dollars. So dollars over dollars. So we had two fixed costs, manufacturing and admin. Manufacturing was 111,425 plus 48,350. What's my margin per unit though? What's my margin per unit? I think I have the numbers up there. Oh, thank you guys. Mandy, $1.10. Mandy, how did I get the $1.10? %, of 275. I love that answer. Good job. That is exactly right. So what Mandy did, I'm going to change colors here. It is $1.10. And the way she got it was to use the margin 40% times the selling price of 275. Make sure that's right, auditors. I think that's right. Or what else could I have done?
275 minus 165.
Or $2.75 minus the variable cost of $1.65 will also get you the 110. Either way will work. So it's nice to double check your work. Either way will be good. You come out to the same answer. So the break even in units is how much?
145,250.
Is that what you guys got out in the cyber world? All right. Great job, Michaela. Awesome. Cool. It's like winning the slot machine. You know, if everybody's buzzing in. That's so cool. Good job, guys. Thank you for following along. Okay, question 2, I think we answered everything. The variable cost, the variable manufacturing cost. They do ask in question 2, which is used in the cost volume profit analysis. And that would be, almost dropped my glasses, that would be all variable cost. In managerial accounting, we don't make the distinction between production and admin costs. We do a whole analysis which includes all costs, so that's why we're going to use the $1.65 in this case in our analysis. What else can we do? If the test question asks me what's the break-even point in dollars, what would you do? So I'm going to move this down a little bit. Sorry, guys. So I'm going to change colors here. Break-even point in dollars, how do I do it?
Fixed cost divided by the contribution ratio.
Yes. Our fixed costs were what?
159,775.
And my ratio is?
0.4.
Excellent. Michaela, what is that amount then? You're right also. $399, $437. Brianna, is that what you got?
Yeah.
And the way that Michaela did it, she took the break-even units, right? And it can be done this way also, 145,250. This is units. And I'm multiplying that by the 275 selling price. Will give you the same answer. So be ready for both questions, units or dollars, right? You can do it either way. All the really cool kids, they put all these formulas on one page and laminate them. I told you that before, right? In class. It's really cool. If you really want to impress your family and friends. All right. Obviously, with target revenue, right, is our next computation. We simply add to our fixed cost. And again, we're looking for PANs. Target in units is equal to our fixed cost. In this case, the full fixed cost plus our target is 13,530. And again, we're going to divide by our margin per unit, which was $1.10. So we set it up, come up with our unit number, and then convert the units here to revenue, dollars. And this is question 3 and 4. And how many do we get here? Kira, how many do we get here? Are you with us? Not to put you on the spot or anything. It's hard to see if they're still there. How about Miley? Michaela. 157,550. Guys, is she right? Yes? All right, great. Thank you, Mandy. I forgot the number. 157?
550.
550. And we certainly can take this just like we did before. And what's our sale number?
433,262.50.
4, right? I can multiply by the 275 and get that same answer. So either way will work. Depends on what the problem gives you as to which one is going to work better for you. But you have to know both. Certainly know both methods. All right, that's what we covered last week. Any questions, guys? Oh, that's okay, Liz. All right, thank you. Thanks, guys. Good. Please know that with any type of prediction, and that's what this is, it's a prediction, we have to be using assumptions, and we have to know that our costs are consistent, right? Otherwise, these projections, these break-even computations are really pointless. Not only is our cost have to be consistent, but our pricing has to be consistent. And we're assuming that everything we make, we sell, right? It's not like GM 10 years ago where they made a lot of stuff and didn't sell anything. Right? That's not going to work either. Finally, we don't or haven't discussed yet sales mix. With many companies, they don't make just one thing, they make multiple things. So we need to know in this mix of products that we are selling, each product has a different margin. Each product makes different amounts of money. So that's our next discussion. Another thing that we have to be aware of, Boeing is the company profile in Chapter 7, which is a winter sport. Weather really comes into play on their predictions. So out of any industry, probably that is the big one that has to consider weather conditions. And they make most of their money between Christmas and New Year's. That's when a lot of people go skiing. But anyway, if you get a chance, take a look at Boeing and their analysis there regarding weather. And that's on page 350. Page 350 of your textbook. A lot of you will be managers. You may not be accountants, but you will be managers in some type of capacity. So this budgeting process is going to be paramount in your success. So hopefully that will give you some insight into that. All right. Multiple product analysis then. In other words, we're going to sell more than just one. That's what most companies do to be competitive. I do need you to know this. What is the difference between direct costs and common? This is on page 351 of your book. Now, talking about a segment of our company, right? This could be a division, this could be a product. Each product line has direct fixed expenses. Again, the word direct means easily traced to the cost object, which in this case is the segment itself or product line. Examples of direct fixed is a supervisor for, what product should we sell here? The cupcake line. Segment. Supervisor salary is an example. If we're looking at the segment, cupcakes, our product line cupcakes, and this supervisor only works in that segment or business, that would be a direct fixed cost. Also, common is our second term. And the only difference, instead of easily, it's not easily traced to our cupcake segment. So in this case, if it's common, a lot of companies will allocate these. Assign the common fixed. An example of a common fixed is corporate fixed cost. Examples of corporate fixed cost are the CEO salary, right? The corporate depreciation, on the corporate building, that sort of thing. Those are common fixed. We will cover this more so in a future chapter, chapter 8. But for chapter 7, just know those two and their differences. And we'll cover that in more detail in chapter 8, how we treat those two. So, the computation doesn't change much, our break-even computation. The only difference is here. This is new. Instead of a unit margin per unit, we now have what they call a package margin per unit. And in order to develop this package margin, we need to know a sales mix. So in other words, I sell 2 of this calculator type and 1 of this calculator type for all of our sales, a 2-to-1 ratio. The example in the book, which is selling mulch mowers and riding mowers, is exercise 7 or example 7, begins on page 352. And it does a nice job laying out the steps. I like how this textbook lays out the steps. We have 2 products. Obviously their margins are different. The mulch mower is priced at $400. The riding's double at $800. But look at the variable cost, right? So I'm making $75 on every mulch mower. And I'm making $200 on every rider. And that makes sense. Why do you think Ford likes trucks versus cars? They make a ton more on their trucks than on their cars. So that's why they're dropping their car line. They don't make enough money on those cars for what they're trying to accomplish. So same is true here. They make more money on their rider machines. And so they want us to come up with this package margin, and they do so with a little table. So this table is on page 353. You can see how they use the mix, and they multiply it by the margin per unit to come up with this 625, which is the package margin. So this package margin then is our bottom denominator computation. The top number, the fixed cost, doesn't change. That's exactly what we've done in the past. How's that feel? Is that all right? So we're going to look at our packages. How many packages? Once I have the number of packages, there's a final step. To take the package amount, multiply by the sales mix. 3 and 2 to get our units. I'm going to make a note here. On the test, if I'm looking for break-even points in, let's say, mulch mowers, one of the answers will be 154. Is 154 the number of mulch mowers to break even? The answer is no. Why is one of the answers 154? They want to see if you go to the final step. So my question again was, how many units, How many mulch mowers must I sell to break even? The answer is not 154. The answer is 462. So don't be tricked on the exam when you get to a mixed computation. Don't forget the final step here and multiply by the sales mix. And here they're just proving it out. I'm not worried about the sales dollar computation, example 8. Let's try problem 43, please. And then we'll take our first break. Cherry Blossom Products. We have to go to the previous page on page 379. They're selling DVDs and basic equipment sets. Last year, Blossom Products sold 13,500 DVDs. And they sold 4,500 sets. The question is, what is the mix? Now you certainly can use this large number. How do I reduce these two numbers to a more manageable size? What would you do from your high school days? This is from your high school days. What would you do first? Or how would you solve it?
You said how to like reduce the
Yeah, how to
numbers?
make, this is such a big number, how do I make it smaller?
Wouldn't you divide it by the greatest common
Yes,
denominator?
greatest common multiple, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
good job. Good job, Carla. Okay, so what is that? What would you try first?
4,500.
Yeah, 4,500. Does it fit? Does it work? Let's try it. 13,500 divided by 4,500. It looks like it works.
Yeah.
What is it?
DVDs would be 3 and then sets would be 1.
Yep. Yes, Stephanie's right. Stephanie's right. It is 3 to 1. Here's another way to do it. So what we did, we took each of these. It's got to be the same division, right? That's probably the easiest way. But even to make it a little more manageable, you could get rid of the zeros, right? Now down to 135 to 45. So it might work in some cases where you can divide the bottom number into the top and it comes out perfectly, but sometimes that isn't the largest common factor. You might have to reduce or get rid of the zeros first. Now you can see what times what gives you 45. What two integers? 9 and 9 times 5. So 9 or 5 would be your greatest common factor, right? That might be plausible. Because I don't think there's anything else that'll get us to 45. Remember doing that in it's actually middle school that they teach this now. Does that make you old? Back in middle school days? All right. Yep, 5 or 9 is the next one. 9 would obviously be the larger of the two. But great job. Thanks, guys. So we have our mix ratio. Let's compute our break-even packages using the package contribution margin. So this, what we just did was step one. We've got to come up with our package margin. We have DVDs. We have sets. We've got to take the selling price minus the variable cost to give us our margin, right? For each unit sold, for each product type. DVDs selling price is 8. Minus the variable cost of 4 gives us a margin of 4. Has everybody seen where I'm getting these numbers? I'm on the bottom of page 379. What's the selling price of the equipment sets? 25 and
15.
10 is my margin. Okay, now what do I do? Because I want the package margin, I don't want the individual ones. So I gotta multiply by the mix, right? How many DVDs do I sell?
Is it the 3?
3 to every one set, right? So for my package then, I have 12 and 10. My package margin is 22. And did I make a mistake? I don't know, maybe I did. 12 to 10. Oh, okay, just checking. Thanks for letting me know, Stephanie. $22 per package. Is what this company makes. Okay, that's step 2. Step 3 then is to compute our break-even packages. Here's where we now can take this $22 per package margin, right? That's our bottom number. That's our bottom number. What's my top number? What's our top number? It's on page 379. Top number, guys. Any?
84,920.
Yes, 84,920. Thank you, Mandy. You're right. Excellent. 84,920. This is our fixed cost, right? Both manufacturing and selling and admin fixed cost added together. Ophelia? That's my niece holding me up. Do you have the number?
Yeah, 3860.
38, I'm so embarrassed. 3860, thank you guys, you're excellent. Great job, Michaela, Stephanie. I'm so flustered. 2,800, I think you said 3,860, correct?
Yes.
But this is packages, right? So be careful with that test question, because this is one of the answers. But the question will be, how many sets or how many DVDs do we have to sell? So what was my mix here for DVD, or sets? What was the mix? One, right? One set to a mix of what? 3, right? And I'm going to multiply those by the number of packages. I used to say packages. I grew up with packages in Sheboygan County. Anybody from Sheboygan County out there? Oh, 11,580. Thank you, Stephanie. $11,580 DVDs have to be sold, along with 3,860 sets have to be sold in order to break even. If what? If we can rely that the mix that we have here, a 3-to-1 mix, is accurate, right? Is as good as we can get. So remember, this is for the year, right? Now I can do some planning by month. So let's say I'm in February, the weather's been lousy, and I only sold 2,000 sets in the month of March. No, that's not a good one. I gotta divide those by 12. Let's just say if I take 3,860 divided by 12, 321 is my per monthly amount. So if I only sell 200 in the month of February because of the weather, what's my plan for March then? Better start selling some more to catch up, right? 320 is my break even on these. So that's how this tool is used and why it's so important for companies to know their break even. I'm working with a client now. They know exactly how much in sales they need every month to break even. If they go over, great. If they go under, we got to do something quick, right? So that's the goal here. Oh my goodness. What do you think, guys? Is that all right? All right, great. Thank you for responding, guys. Thank you. We're going to take a break here. I'm going to stop my recording, and we'll come back in about 5 minutes. I wanted to make note, this is how it's used, and this is the book's attempt to give us real-life examples of how businesses use these ratios and so forth. I like this one though. This is on page 355. And what I found interesting is this comment. Linda hired several friends to make cards. And she's paying them on a piece rate work basis. As soon as you do that, this is a payroll question. Gosh, payroll, that's so long ago. What are Linda's friends to her? I guess maybe I'm not clarifying the question very well. What do we have to be concerned about when you start having friends work for you? Maybe you're not concerned. But what could be a problem here? They're considered what now?
Employees.
Employees. Oh, goodness. Mhm. So what should you have in place before you start hiring friends? Piece rate, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether it's piece rate or hourly. Right? It's still considered a wage, right? So you have to have what in place? The ability to pay in payroll taxes, right? Both state and federal. So the IRS would really like to find you if you're doing this, would they not? Or the Wisconsin Department of Revenue. So all I'm saying, if you're in that position, be careful, because this could be a factor where, now this is a long shot, what if these friends got hurt making your stuff, right? Poke their finger with a needle or whatever they're making here. So there's a workers' comp issue, right? So that person could sue you for work or being hurt on the job, so to speak. So I just wanted to point that out. I thought this maybe I'm a little cynical as an accountant, but be careful. All right. The next section of Chapter 7 regards how do we assess risk. Remember, these are just estimates, right? Estimated cost, estimated pricing, estimated quantity sold. Everything is uncertain. So they're going to be measuring risk in a couple different ways. But we have to deal with it. That's what they say here. We're going to use, this is from Excel, kind of a what-if analysis. What if this happens? What if our costs change this amount? So they came up with this new measurement called margin of safety. Again, it is a simple computation. It's not difficult. It's a difference. A margin of safety is covered on page 359. And all it is, it's our current sales volume minus our break-even units. So in this case, does that even add up? Even I can see that does not come out. 500 minus 200 is what, guys? 300. That makes me very sad that that's wrong. 300 is our margin of safety. So do you think that's a good margin of safety? What do you think? Here's where we're at, 500. Here's our break even. How's 300 as a margin of safety? There's no wrong answer. Oh, maybe there is. What do you think? Is that a good? 50-50. Good or bad? Good. I think it's good. It's not 50% more. It'd be 150% of what your break-even is. So that's pretty darn good. So I'm saying that's a good, pretty break. This company would be, if I saw this difference, I would not be too concerned about risk here. They're pretty much covered with their break-even. So that's all they're trying to do. And then they'd base it upon dollars, which again is simply a difference in dollars between the two. They even show this little graph. This is on page 359. for visually learners, here you are. This is it. Units sold, break even, that difference, margin of safety. So simple. Now, this is the one I like. This is on page, and this is one of your questions on your 25-point problem, guys. It's called operating leverage computation. Page 360 of our book. Marge, it's a degree of operating leverage, DOL. Computation's easy. You take our margin dollars over income dollars, and you get a number. An operating leverage is a number. The larger the number, your company is more, you have more risk with changes in sales. Obviously, the smaller the number, the less risk. So you'll get 8 or you'll get 10. 10 is riskier than an 8. That makes sense? 10 is riskier than an 8. The larger the number, the more risk. And we'll show how that happens. So example 9 does the margin of safety computation. Again, really simple. Take the difference, 400 units. The operating leverage, though, is a measurement of cost structure. That's the word right here. You might see that terminology on the test. What does cost structure mean? This is on page 362. Nope. 361, 362. Now I'm going to have to look because I don't have it in my notes.
361.
361?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, thank you. Please understand what cost structure is, guys. The amount or level of fixed cost versus variable cost to generate income. Think of fixed cost. Remember, fixed cost in today's world, it's our largest number because of the machinery and equipment. Fixed cost is in that category, machinery and equipment. So look at General Motors. They have a huge investment in these fixed costs, property, plant, equipment. That depreciation is in that fixed cost. To get that cost per unit down, right, our variable cost per unit down, they use more equipment, as opposed to other companies which may be more, and the book talks about this, labor intensive. Labor is a variable cost. So we're using equipment now to do the work of 10 guys or 20 guys or 30 people. That's what cost structure is about. So, example 10 helps us with this degree of operating leverage computation. We're taking what? Our margin in dollars, our operating income in dollars, to come up with a number. Our DOL is 2.5. 2.5. So not terribly risky, but somewhat. Now we use that number in example 10. And where am I at? I'm on page 361 yet. And the question is, what happens to profit when sales increase by 40%? So my question is, what happens to profit when sales increase? I'm just going to make up a new number, 20%. So this is a question you'll get on your test, you'll get on your exam or questions. So we figured this out. We've got our DOL. The question is, what happens to our profits when sales increase by 20%? I simply take the 2.5 times 20%. It gives me 50% is my answer. Increase in profits. Still doesn't make much sense, right? Without numbers. So let's just assume. Let's assume here these are numbers that are not anywhere. Let's assume our income is currently at 50,000. If my profits increase by 50%, what is the amount of the increase? What is this amount? What's 50% of 50,000? 25, right? So if my sales go up 20%, my increase in income will be 50%, or 25,000, and my prediction then of income, if my sales go up 20%, will be 75,000. That's how the DOL works. It gives me the ability to predict what my increase in sales or my increase in revenues will be or income will be. Now, for the test or for your questions in C now, I may ask for the increase, okay? Or I might ask for the new prediction, right? So you could possibly have two ways. I could ask the same question, what's my DOL? It's 2.5, that's easy. But I might ask for the increase, which is 25 in income. Or I might ask, what is the new income going to be? 75 in this case. So be careful with the question. Make sure you're understanding which number I'm looking for. Is that okay with everyone out there? Okay. All right. Thank you, Liz. Stephanie, welcome. Awesome. Sandy, good? Awesome. Let's try a problem quick. We'll talk about this on Thursday, right? Is that when we're meeting next Thursday? If there's no snow. All right, problem 63, guys, page 387. This is what we're going to wrap up with. $387. We have two companies. Again, we're going to talk about cost structure with DOL. How much fixed cost in relation to variable cost does each company have? Fixed cost versus variable. So you're going to, after we compute the DOLs, you're going to tell me which one has more fixed cost. All right, so let's start with Duncan. How do I compute the DOL for Duncan? It's a division. What two numbers do I divide?
Is it the 75 over 25?
Yes, very good, Carla. 75,000 over 25,000 is what, Carla?
3,000?
No, just
Oh, what do you mean?
just 3,
Oh, 3.
right?
I did the 75 over 25 and I was like, I guess I have to add the...
No, no, no. 1,000 over 1,000, we got 3, right?
Yes.
Let's do Matt. What's their name? McDuff? I'll do McDuff and do and move. Well, good thing we are ending soon. 225 over what? 25. What's that number?
9.
9? Is that what you guys got out there? Awesome, Michaela. Great. Great. Good job, guys. Thank you. So, which company is more subject to risk? Which one's a riskier company to be in? McDuff, right? McDuff here. Whoops. Oh, that was freaky. Oh, that's so cool. Don't know why I picked that color, but that's awesome. For those at home, I just found out I used the opposite, the wrong end by accident, and I got a different color. Okay, it's risky. Why is it risky? Look at the fixed cost under McDuff compared to Duncan. A lot more fixed cost, right? So they must have a lot more equipment. That kind of investment, if something goes south, guess what? They go down much quicker, right? Because they have that cost no matter what. If they make 1 unit, 2 units, that cost is there at 200,000. So they are much riskier. So if I'm a bank, I already know that if sales units change, the number of sale units change, they are going to be affected more. All right. I'm skipping the next question. I don't care about break even. We'll cover that on Wednesday. Why do I say Wednesday? Thursday. I want to get down here. For Duncan, compute the percentage change in profits for Duncan if sales increase by 30%. This is question 3. We'll get back to question 2 on Thursday. For question 3, Duncan's DOL is what? 3. I'm going to multiply that by the percentage change in sales. Remember a triangle? is change, right, in geometry? It is. I didn't want to write the word change. Percentage change of sales is 30. So if sales go up 30%, my profits are going to go up what? 90%. Correct? 90% of what number? What were their income? What was the income level before? 25,000 was their income before. That means their profits are going to go up 90% of 25,000, which is how much?
22,500.
Rock on. Brianna, how did you do that? You didn't use your calculator, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
You could take 10%, which is 2,500, subtract it from the 25, you get 22,500. That's what I was hoping you did, because you did it so quick.
Sure.
That was awesome. So my new income is going to be what? Right? The projection is 47.5 will be our new income. Our increase in income is going to be what? 22.5. Are we okay? Let's try McDuff. DOL is 9. The percentage change in sales is 30. That means profits are going to go up as a percent, 270% increase in profits. Their old profits are what? 25. My increase is how much? It's a big number. Help! I'm using my lifeline here. Anybody? Somebody? 67,500, Michaela says. Is she right?
Yeah.
Plus 25, which is where I was. My new income is going to be then 92.5.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you see the power of equipment? Here it is. That's the power. Now remember, this is the drawback with lots of equipment. Remember, this is going up. What if the sales went down 30%? You're going to crash that much quicker, right? I'm going to lose 67,000 in 1 year versus making 67. So that's the drawback with having a lot of equipment like GM, right? That's why they went bankrupt. They weren't selling enough for what they were producing. All right. Now, I'm going to stop here, guys. We're going to pick up on this problem on Thursday because I'm not done here yet. Because I can solve this problem. I can solve this increase without using DOL. Okay? I gotta have a teaser so you come back on Thursday. So that's my plug for Thursday. Any questions out there, guys? Now, did you have fun today? You had fun? Oh, that's great to hear. Awesome. Good deal. We will see you on Thursday. Look for an email from me. You'll have a link via YouTube. How cool. Of the video. Thanks, Michaela. I don't know about that. My kids don't think so. All right, good enough. I'll send the video out shortly.